question is, how are we as Christians able to provoke the Jewish people to jealousy? And my basic answer is, be authentic. Be who you really are. What does the text say? It says, did Israel not understand after all? No, they didn't understand. They couldn't understand, because I will make you jealous by of a non-nation. Now look, we Christians, we normally come, and I talk about my most inner, very deep feeling. And what I see, what I hear of others, I think I'm not so special that other Christians don't have a similar feeling. We as Christians, normally when we encounter the Jewish people, we come and we want to be a people, a nation too. We want to belong as well. So we are certainly not a no nation, a non-nation, but we are an also nation. Right? And there are all kinds of theological arguments. The wall has been broken down and there is no difference, and you know that the arguments now. Just remember, we will only understand the text if we understand that there is a difference between Jew and Gentile, between Israel and the other nations. I have to tell you, I told you from my rabbi in whose presence a lot of this developed. It was not easy for me and not easy for him that he was a Jew. He had grown up in Mea Shearim. He had studied with Rabbi Soloveitchik in New York. He was a real Jew. And I was me, coming from the Black Forest to Israel. And then one evening we were studying together. I actually had convinced him of one thing. I come from a Lutheran background, and I think it was Martin Luther who actually admitted that by preparing sermons he had a beer there. I mean, it was in Germany at that time something very normal to have a beer. And so I convinced my rabbi that the best theological thoughts come when in the evening you have a beer. And maybe he had a little bit, he might have 2 beers at that time. And the point was, it was a slip of tongue that he admitted to me that the Gaon of Vilna, one of the great rabbis of the second half of the 18th century in Lithuania. So it was long before the Holocaust. But the Gaon of Vilna, he was actually one of the predecessors of Benjamin Netanyahu. So the Gaon of Vilna, he had stated in the 18th century that Germany is Amalek. Now you have to understand that Amalek, according to the Bible, is the nation that actually invests its whole existence into destroying the Jewish nation. And it is one of the terrible things also in my life, that it has become so true what the Gaon of Vilna said. And it's the only nation in the Bible you have where the Lord says the remembrance of Amalek shall be blotted out. And he tells the people, don't forget to do that. So just to tell a little bit what in these 3 words, Germaniahu Amalek, or Germany is Amalek, is all contained, and we both in a way sat there in shock, and his wife entered in that moment, and she heard these sentences, and I still see her hand go in there and say, but you are one of us. And it was my rabbi who tried to prove to me that I somewhere must have a Jewish grandmother. And I said, listen, as far as I know, and it was a stupid discussion that I said, I'm sorry, but I'm pure Aryan. You know how suddenly it stood there that I'm a no nation, a non-nation? I can tell you, it so much haunted me that I found in the Talmud that the Talmud says that the sons of Haman was an Agagite. Haman was a descendant of the king of the Amalekites. But now the Talmud says that there will come a time when the sons of Haman will study the Torah in Bnei Brak, of all towns in Israel. It's ultra orthodox. But anyway, I want to make a long story short. It later on, when I not really reconciled with my past as German, with my identity as German, but when I started to say yes, that I'm a no nation, a non-nation, the Lord opened doors. And it was Orthodox Jews who came and said, we need you, Bible believers from the Gentile nations. And then Psalm 126 popped up, and I still remember, it was several incidences that it happened to me, that Orthodox Jews came, and it was somehow the Lord using them, telling me, look at Psalm 126, where it says, when the Lord restores the fortunes of Zion, we are like those who dream. Then our mouth will be filled with laughter and our tongue with shouts of joy. Why? You know, Israel is not about laughter and songs of joy. Israel is about suffering and terror and problems and finding solutions. So why actually should that come together? And I'm not quoting what a rabbi told me, another one. And then they said among the Gentile nations, it says in Psalm 126, look, the Lord has done great things for or with those. What the rabbis there say, you hear all the anti-Judaism, the all anti-Semitism in those Gentile nations. They look at the Jewish people and say, look, the Lord has done great things with those. And only when those nations, those Gentile nations, say it about the Jewish nation. It was actually a settler rabbi in the southern Hebron Hills who taught me that. And he was quite sick at that, but it was so important to tell me. He said, only as an answer, it says here, yes, the Lord has done great things for us. And therefore we are joyful. And then this settler rabbi says, and he was not looking for a Christian missionary, I assure you. And he would not like to convert to Christianity. I'm absolutely 100% certain. But this settler rabbi said to me, he said, we need you Gentiles. He didn't say no nations, but that's what Paul would have said. We need you Gentiles to know who we are. We need you Gentiles to know our mission, to know what we are here for. We need you Bible believers from the Gentiles to know why we had to come to this country. And then this settler rabbi said to me, we will not recognize Messiah without you Gentile believers.